Doc, we went over the West, the crazy West, I guess I'll call it, in the first quarter.
Wow, West.
So it's our duty now to hit the East. Same thing. It's crazier as far as standings than we thought it would be. We got some notables that are in place, but we got some MIAs as well. So what I have is Toronto number 1.
Yep.
Milwaukee 2, Philly 3, Detroit 4, Indy 5, Boston, which to me would be one of the notables at 6. Not that they're missing from the playoff picture. Many people thought that they would be closer to 1 than 6.
Sure.
1 than 8, and they're more closer to 8 than they are 1. Correct?
Yeah.
6, 7, and 8. You and I, we kind of flipped the coin on the rest of the teams, other than them who would be in. So we got to round them out. It's Charlotte and Orlando. With both teams on any given night, as they're playing 500 ball, they'll give you a good game.
Yeah,
they might beat you.
Yeah, both teams have played well.
To me, of course, the big disappointment of the conference would have to be Washington, right?
Absolutely.
Even though they're playing mostly and all the way without, for sure now, their notable summer pickup, Dwight Howard. Yeah. I don't know that the lack of his absence is making them play poorly, right?
Well, no, it just hasn't helped. I mean,
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah, he's a double he is. He's out for gluteal surgery for 2 to 3 months, apparently.
Yes. And so 2 to 3 months puts us just before the playoff picture.
And so
starts to unfold.
Otherwise, he's a good defensive anchor, and now they have no defensive anchor.
Yeah, he's been a rim protector for
So
years.
that hurts them, but at the same time, from what I've heard and seen, there's some accountability issues amongst the players that are playing.
Yeah, we went over that last year.
Exactly.
Last week, I should say. They have bigger issues than the White House.
Exactly.
So I would say they're the biggest disappointment.
Agreed.
Anyone else not in, like a Miami, which many people had them in the playoffs this year on the strength of what they did last year. They're a couple, 2-3 games under 500. Disappointing for sure. Any team that's not in the playoff picture that you would think might sneak up from the East? Because I think Washington will sneak up.
I'm starting to come around on them.
Yeah, I think Washington might sneak up. All right, so let's look at the top then.
But Toronto, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, because, if they get on a run, it's easier to get on a run in the East, I would say, than in the West.
Yes.
Because there are more...
Yes, we just talked about the West.
Right. Most of them are hovering around 500 other than Phoenix. And in the East, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 teams at least well under 500. Well, many teams under 500, but just scraping the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, so with that said, Toronto, to me, no surprises. That's who I picked.
Okay.
So any surprises for you?
From Toronto?
Yes. The fact that they're pretty much the class of East right now.
Nurse. He's my surprise.
Okay.
So far.
Okay.
And he may be just riding on Kawhi's coattails right now, because I can't say that I watched all of Toronto, but I've seen a lot, and I see Kawhi do his thing. But he hasn't messed up anything. It seems like he's incorporated the new pieces in well to a team that was already there. So he's a surprise, because I didn't know.
Well, I won't say... okay, for me... I won't say Toronto is a surprise at all, as you mentioned, because they had a good team and they got better seemingly,
personnel-wise, player personnel.
Now, I remember at the beginning of the season, that's what you mentioned. You said that you didn't. He was your question mark, what he was going to do, and as you mentioned, you have not watched a lot of Toronto. I have, and so he's not just riding their Kawhi's coattails. He's riding the coattails of. I think he's been around, the nurse.
Yeah.
And so he's got some basketball knowledge, number one. And then Kawhi's definitely not going to hurt that situation. And then the rest of the team's playing pretty well. That Danny Green was a big pickup for them.
Siakam's been playing well.
Yes. So, to me, I text you the first couple of nights I saw him play, the nurse is smart. Just get out of the way.
Right.
Don't try to implement your whatever. And matter of fact, I've heard Kawhi interviewed last night, and he was like, Coach Nurse lets us play freely and play our game. So basically, he's just getting out of the way, and I'm sure he's doing more than that.
Sometimes that's all you got to do.
Sure. Milwaukee. To me, no surprises. Number 2. You? Because they got one of the best players. Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, right.
I expected that. Look, man, I already told you, Coach Bud is a mastermind. They just gave him the Greek freak. He's gonna make that into something special. So no surprise for Milwaukee being 2. Like for me right now, Boston is lackluster.
Yes,
That's the biggest surprise
for sure.
Detroit has been playing well.
Yes.
So Blake's been doing his thing. That team's been playing well. Dwayne Casey has coached them up very well. I mean, shoot, he's coach of the year last year. So surprise.
Right.
But he's got all those guys buying in. So
Well, you know what he also has?
what's that?
A chip on his shoulder.
Of course.
And I think many of his team, his roster, had Blake. I think has a chip on his shoulder.
Should do.
Guys like Ish Smith.
Yep.
Yes, they're what's the big Drummond?
Andre
Drummond.
yeah.
He's always been the butt of Embiid's jokes and whatever memes and things like that. So yeah, I think, and to me that adds to a team, a player, a person, that chippiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have that. Yeah, I think they have that. Now, matter of fact, we didn't mention Philly being number 3. Definitely no surprise for me there.
No.
I had them at 2 to start the season. They had a little rough start because of roster, and not so much roster, just the guy that they picked last year. He didn't fit in anywhere.
Well, they just tried. Yeah, they tried to make him fit in
Right.
a situation where he's not ready.
Right.
If he ever will be.
Right.
He's definitely not ready right now.
Right.
They were trying to force him into
Correct.
being ready,
Yes.
and they were getting in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But the trade has made a world of difference.
Yes.
Uh,
Adding Jimmy Butler makes a huge difference.
yeah. Even though, like we mentioned, they gave up 2 starters, but adding JB was big on both ends of the court, and he's already won 2 games for him
Right.
at the buzzer with dagger trays, and one of them was after making a great defensive stop.
He's a great player.
Yeah. So yeah.
Needless to say.
All right. So Indy. Oladipo's hurt. I forgot what the injury was that I heard.
Yeah.
I looked it up in a second. But no surprise there.
Nope.
He's a good player. They have a pretty good roster.
Yep.
Nate McMillan's doing pretty well for them.
Yep.
So no surprise there for me. Like you mentioned, the big surprise is Boston. A mere 3 games over 500. They won a squeaker tonight. They held on to beat. Who was that tonight? Minnesota, who's playing well. How far, if any, does Boston climb up? They're
They
6
may
right
or
now.
may not. They may or may not.
Uh-huh. So is it partly because what I was mentioning at the beginning of the season? They have too much talent, if that makes sense.
No, they haven't figured out how to utilize said talent. I think they will come up because I'm still not all the way on this Detroit bandwagon yet. I believe in the other teams, the Pacers, the Sixers, the Bucks, and the Raps. I believe them to stay in that top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Only team I can see falling out of the top 5 is Detroit, and that will put Boston up in there. And I think that's probably how that's going to play out.
Well, the thing with that is you may have to keep Detroit in there. And I say this because of that. During the break, you mentioned if they should get rid of the divisions.
Uh-huh.
Well, they have not at this point.
Right.
And if I'm not, I guess Milwaukee's on top.
No, get rid of the conferences.
Oh, you say get rid of the conference.
Yeah.
Well, that's radical.
Man, just 30 teams in this bad boy. Let's go. Rank
Yeah,
them.
but travel. And then it's going to...
First class private jets. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but no. But then you run the risk of, who plays do you play everyone equally? How do you get that distribution out?
What I mean,
And then you have, if you have to go, Philly has to go so many times to the West Coast. I mean that's just not fair. I mean, so if your example, if your team is in the Midwest, your
The
travel.
schedules or I think the games played would definitely have to change.
Sure, that's what I'm saying.
Sure, but
And how do you work that out? Like, do you work it like in football, where
home and away?
no, in football everyone has your set. You know,
Oh
your set.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Your
yeah.
set games, and then you play. Well, no, because it's not even that. There's no divisions anymore.
Well, and then maybe you keep the divisions, just don't have the conferences.
Yeah, too much. But anyway, all right. So
Yeah,
Boston.
That's a whole nother story.
So you say all right. So you say Boston may or may not climb up.
They may or may not, but I think that top 6 is probably set for me.
Yeah. But you said what? In
Barring
Washington,
injury.
what? So okay, all right. So that means one team that's currently in. If you're warming, and I'm definitely warming to the.
Pistons?
No, I'm warming to the Wizards.
Oh,
Creeping up.
Right.
So I guess Magic may have to suffer if my prediction, because Charlotte's playing.
Yeah.
Charlotte's playing.
Charlotte,
They don't have a lot.
They got Kemba. He's hooping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his Road Dogs are playing with him.
Right. They're playing well, but he's hooping.
So wild out east, but not as wild as the west.
No.
And
Now, see, this is like the way the East is with the top 8 teams, and then you got those bottom 6 or 7 that are just like not doing anything. That's how I thought the West was going to be. But a lot of those teams are a lot better, like your Dallas, your Sacramento.
Yes.
I thought Clippers was going to be one of those. Like, a lot of those guys are playing much better than I thought. So it's wild out west, and it's meek in the east.
Well, no, in the east,
In the bottom, at least.
Yes, the east has always been top heavy.
Yeah.
And so that is a standard operating situation for the east, basically.
Yeah.
It's just a little jumbled, and we got to figure out what Boston's going to be. All right, so I guess we'll see you in the third quarter, man.